Something touched her in the woods, a midnight encounter we can't explain. It was just past 1:30 in the morning when my sister and I were driving home from a fancy black tie gala. She was in a long, shimmering gold dress that dragged across the floor when she walked. I wore a plain black suit. We looked like we'd walked off a red carpet, except we were cruising down a deserted two-lane road surrounded by thick trees, somewhere far from the city. No lights. No traffic. No signs of life at all. The road seemed endless, like we were slicing through the belly of the forest with our headlights. Trees on both sides towered above us, and the only sound was the soft hum of the car engine and our tired breathing. We'd barely said anything since leaving the event. About 20 minutes into the drive, my sister suddenly said, "I need to pee." "Like now?" I blinked. "You serious?" She nodded, clearly uncomfortable. So I pulled over. The side of the road was a mess of dry, thorny bushes and uneven terrain, not exactly dress-friendly. She leaned forward, squinting through the windshield into the woods. "I'm not doing it here. Let's just go into the trees." "I can't. With the dress and all." I didn't love the idea. It was pitch black, and honestly, everything about the place gave off the wrong vibe. But she was insistent, and nervous. So I said I'd go with her. We stepped out into the silence, our dress shoes crunching on gravel, and wandered maybe 100 meters into the woods. I led the way with my phone flashlight, lighting a thin trail through tangled branches and dry leaves. The further we went, the more the trees seemed to close around us. Finally, we found a small clearing. "This'll do," she whispered, scanning around. "Turn around, though." I turned, giving her space, and heard her struggling to bunch up her dress above her knees, trying to hold it high enough to squat without wrecking it. It sounded awkward, but also kind of hilarious. I decided I might as well pee too, so I stepped a few feet away and did the same. She asked me to turn off the flashlight. "I don't want a spotlight on my butt," she said, trying to laugh through the discomfort. So we stood there, both half-crouched, cloaked in absolute blackness. That's when it happened. A scream. Loud. Piercing. Terrified. I nearly jumped out of my skin, twisting midstream to turn the flashlight back on. I spun around and caught her still squatting, her eyes wide with pure panic. "What?" I shouted. She gasped, clutching her dress, trembling. "Someone touched me," she whispered. "Both shoulders. Hands. I swear to God." I was frozen for a second. My brain couldn't make sense of it. We were alone, completely alone. I'd just scanned the area before she squatted. There was nothing. No rustling, no sounds. Just us. And darkness. Still, I swept the flashlight in a full circle. Left. Right. Up. Behind us. Nothing. Not even the wind. She was shaking now, struggling to get her dress down properly. She nearly tripped trying to stand. And then, I heard it. Crunch. Like a footstep. Then another. Dry leaves cracking. Slowly. Deliberately. Circling. I didn't say anything at first. I didn't want to make things worse. Maybe it was an animal. Maybe it was her imagination. But then she looked at me, dead in the eyes, and whispered, "You hear that too?" We both froze. Crunch. Pause. Crunch. Not fast. Not animal-like. Just one step at a time, like someone was walking slowly around us. I gripped my phone tighter, the flashlight shaking in my hand. My heart was hammering. I could feel her inching closer, the rustling of her dress loud in the stillness. "We need to move," I said quietly. We started walking quickly, then faster, then straight up running. Problem was, everything looked the same. Trees. Branches. No landmarks. No path. The flashlight danced over trunks and leaves, but nothing looked familiar. I swore we were going the right direction, but the car was nowhere to be seen. Then something else appeared in the distance. A break in the trees. A dark, yawning hollow maybe 100 meters ahead. We stopped cold. It looked like a cave. Or a tunnel of trees so tightly twisted together that no light could pass through. My body screamed, "Don't go near it." Every instinct told me it wasn't part of the forest. It was something else. We turned away from it. We kept running. For what felt like forever, we pushed through the woods, her dress catching on branches, my lungs burning, flashlight darting back and forth. Until finally, we broke through the tree line. We weren't where we entered. The road stretched ahead of us, empty as before, but the car was nowhere in sight. We had come out nearly half a kilometer away. We sprinted, following the curve of the road, until the car came into view, glinting under the moonlight like a beacon. We dove inside, locked the doors, and sat in breathless silence. Neither of us spoke on the drive back to the hotel. It's been days. We've tried to laugh about it, call it a weird forest glitch, or maybe sleep-deprived hallucination. But I can still see her face when she turned around, genuine terror. And I still remember the feel of that night air, thick with something we couldn't name. She swears up and down that something touched her. 2 distinct hands. Cold. And I know what I heard. I know what I felt. Whatever was in those woods wasn't a prank. It wasn't a deer. It was watching us. It was walking toward us. And the strangest part? We weren't lost that long, but somehow, it felt like we were in there for hours. We'll never go back to that road. We'll never stop in the woods again. Not after what we felt out there. Whatever it was. It knew we were there. And it didn't want us to leave. The hotel room should have been a safe zone. Bright lights. Running water. A warm bed. But that night, after we escaped the woods, neither of us really slept. We lay in separate beds, staring at the ceiling, silent. My sister was still in her gold dress, bundled up under the blankets like she didn't want her skin exposed to the air. Her eyes never closed. Mine didn't either. There was a thick, invisible weight between us, something we hadn't spoken aloud yet. We had made it out of the forest. But something had come out with us. It started small. The next morning, we went down for breakfast in the hotel lobby. The staff were friendly, the sun was shining, and the world felt normal again. My sister even laughed when I tripped over a rug near the buffet. We tried to act like nothing had happened. Just tired. Maybe we imagined it all. But as we sat eating, a man across the room stared at us. Not in a curious way. Not in a flirtatious way. It was blank. Like he recognized us but didn't know from where. His eyes never moved. Not even when I caught him. When we got up to leave, I glanced back. He was still watching. But now, he was smiling. Just barely. Later that day, we stopped at a convenience store before heading back on the road. In the mirror above the cash register, I saw something that chilled me. My sister was standing behind me, flipping through a magazine. But something was wrong with her reflection. There were 2 handprints, faint, gray, pressed onto the shoulders of her dress. I spun around. Nothing. No one behind her. The dress looked perfectly smooth. But the reflection, still faintly visible, showed what looked like pale fingerprints resting just where she said she'd felt the touch. I didn't say anything. Not right away. How do you tell someone that something invisible is still holding on to them? That night, back at home, I couldn't stop replaying it. The scream. The footsteps. The hollow in the woods. And now, the man. The mirror. The hands. I was drifting off to sleep when I heard something. A light knock. Then another. At my bedroom door. I sat up, heart instantly racing. Checked the time, 3:12 a.m. I live alone. The hallway was dark, but empty. I opened the door slowly, convinced it was just my imagination. But something had been there. I knew it. The smell. The temperature. The stillness. Exactly like in the woods. The next morning, I called my sister. Before I could say anything, she whispered. "It's still here, isn't it?" I froze. "What do you mean?" She told me that when she got home, her cat refused to enter her bedroom. It sat in the hallway, staring inside like there was someone already there. At night, her closet door creaked open on its own, twice. She kept locking it, and still found it cracked the next morning. And sometimes, she felt pressure on her shoulders. Not painful. Just present. Like something reminding her, "I touched you once. I can do it again." We made a decision. We had to go back. Not deep into the woods, just to the edge. Just to see if something changed. Maybe we left something behind. Maybe it left part of itself with us. The next weekend, in broad daylight, we returned to the stretch of road. We found the shoulder where we'd pulled over. The path we had taken into the trees was gone. I don't mean overgrown, I mean gone. Like it had never existed. No clearing. No hollow. No trail. We wandered for 20 minutes and didn't even make it more than 30 feet into the woods. Something had shifted. Like the forest had sealed itself shut. We never spoke during the drive back. But we both felt it. Like something had decided we didn't need to find it again. Because it had already found us. 3 nights later, I received a picture from my sister. It was of the gold dress, spread out on her bed, ready to be dry cleaned. On the shoulders, there were faint marks again. Not dirt. Not dust. Handprints. Again. Clearer this time, and around them, tiny specks of something black. Like soot. Beneath the photo, she'd only typed one sentence. We didn't bring it back. It came on its own, but we still feel it. In the corners of rooms. In dreams neither of us want to describe. In mirrors that sometimes show too much. One touch was all it took. Some places don't let you leave untouched. And some touches never really let go. It started again at 3:13 a.m. The exact minute it had happened before. I was lying in bed, scrolling on my phone, refusing to fall asleep, because I'd been having dreams. Dark ones. Wet leaves. Hollow spaces. Breathing that wasn't mine. Then came the sound. Not a knock on the door this time. A tap. On my bedroom window. Which is on the 2nd floor. I froze. The room went cold, as if every molecule of air had dropped 10 degrees. Another tap. 3 slow knocks. Like someone testing the glass, not trying to break it. Just reminding me they were there. I couldn't move at first. But I eventually crept to the window, heart pounding so hard I felt dizzy. I pulled the curtain aside. No one. But on the outside of the glass, right at eye level, there were 2 faint smudges. Like hands. Pressed against it. The next morning, I called my sister. She didn't answer. I texted, no reply. By noon, I drove to her place. Something about the silence felt wrong. She looked exhausted when she opened the door. Eyes puffy. Skin pale. Don't be mad, she said, voice low, but I tried to go back last night. I felt my stomach drop. You what? She said she had driven to the same road, alone. Sat there in her car with the engine running. She didn't go into the woods. Didn't leave the vehicle. But she wanted to see if it would come again. It did. She told me that for exactly 7 minutes, everything around her went still. No wind. No bugs. Not even tree movement. Then her rearview mirror fogged up, only from the inside. Like someone had breathed on it. In the fog, something had been written. A single word. Come. The gold dress had stayed crumpled in her laundry basket for weeks. She couldn't bring herself to wash it. Or throw it away. It felt cursed. That night, we decided to destroy it. We took it out to the backyard, placed it in a metal fire pit, and lit a match. The moment the flames caught, the wind stopped. I'm not exaggerating. Everything stilled, like the air had been vacuumed out of the night. The fire burned fast. But the smell. It wasn't right. Not fabric. Not smoke. It smelled like wet dirt and sulfur. My sister turned away, gagging. I stood there, eyes fixed on the dress curling and collapsing in on itself like it was trying to resist burning. And in that moment, when the last piece of fabric blackened, we both heard it. A whisper. Not from the wind. Not from inside us. From behind us. Right behind us. You shouldn't have done that. We turned. No one. Since then, nothing has felt normal. My phone randomly restarts at 3:13 a.m. every night. My sister's hallway lights flicker only when she walks past. A black mark, shaped almost like a hand, appeared on her bathroom mirror one morning. She wiped it. It smeared like ash. We both started journaling the experiences. Comparing them. Some nights it's worse for her. Some nights for me. But neither of us feel alone anymore. Sometimes, I'll catch my reflection not matching my movement exactly. Or see someone walk past my bedroom door when I know no one else is home. Or hear breathing in the silence of my apartment when I stop to listen. It's not over. Last night, I had another dream. The woods again. But this time, I wasn't lost. I was walking toward the hollow. My sister was beside me, face expressionless, eyes wide open. We weren't afraid. We wanted to go in. When I woke up, I was standing in my kitchen. Shoes on. Jacket in hand. Keys on the counter. Ready to leave. We haven't told anyone. Who would believe us? But we know now, it never wanted to hurt us at first. It just wanted our attention. And now that we've given it? It's not letting go. You don't walk into certain places by accident. Sometimes, you're led there. Sometimes, you're meant to leave the door open. So it can follow you through. We tried everything: logic, denial, even cleansing rituals we read online. But nothing stopped it. Nothing wanted to stop it. By now, it wasn't just happening at night. Whatever followed us out of those woods had started seeping into our daytime lives. It wasn't haunting us in the traditional sense. No floating objects. No poltergeist drama. It was subtler. Deeper. Like it was watching our thoughts. Studying us. And every time we ignored it, it got closer. 2 nights ago, my sister texted me just one word. Come. Same word that appeared on her mirror weeks ago. When I arrived, she was sitting in her living room, lights off, TV on static. She looked different. Pale. Almost hollow. I think I talked to it, she whispered, voice barely audible. I didn't ask who it was. We both knew. She told me she'd started dreaming about the forest again. But now, in those dreams, someone was waiting in the clearing. Not something. Someone. A tall figure. Human in shape. Blacker than the darkness around it. And every time, it raised a hand, beckoning her forward. I think it picked me, she said. That night. It touched me first. Maybe that was an invitation. I tried to reason with her. Told her it was trauma. Fear. Guilt, maybe. We'd been through something unexplainable. The mind fills in blanks. But deep down, I felt it too. That night, I had a dream of my own. I was in my apartment, standing in the hallway. Except the hallway kept stretching, like it was pulling me forward. Doors appeared on both sides. Each one opened to a scene I knew wasn't real: my childhood bedroom, our old family home, the gala from weeks ago. And then, the woods. At the end of the hallway stood the same hollow we saw that night. It pulsed like a living thing. I heard a whisper rise from within it. You came to me. You called me. Now you must open the rest. I woke up drenched in sweat. Nose bleeding. Clock reading 3:13 a.m. Again. We decided we had to know the truth. Not just about what we saw, but why we were chosen. It was my sister's idea. She said we needed to recreate everything. Wear the same clothes. Drive the same route. Stop in the same place. Return to the clearing. Even if we couldn't find it. We left before midnight. No music. No talking. Just silence and nerves. The same stretch of road came into view, trees swaying gently, moonlight cutting through the windshield. When we pulled over, the forest didn't feel like before. It felt awake. We stepped out of the car. She wore the gold dress again. I wore the same suit. Both of us silently reliving the night. But this time, the path was there. Clear. Open. Almost inviting. We didn't speak as we stepped into the trees. The light from my phone flickered, then died. But the woods weren't dark. They glowed faintly, bluish, like moonlight reflecting off water. The air grew colder the further we walked. And then, we found it. The hollow. It was still there. But bigger. Wider. Breathing. It looked like a tear in the world, blackness too deep to measure. And in front of it, the figure. Not a ghost. Not a monster. Just presence. No face. No movement. But we both knew it was looking right at us. I reached for my sister's hand. She didn't flinch. Just whispered, I need to go closer. She stepped forward, and I followed. And as we approached, I swear, on everything I know to be true, I heard it speak. Not aloud. Inside us. You came back. You belong here now. You remember. And that's when it all came flooding in. Suddenly I was a child. Running in a field near a tree line. Not this forest, but some forest. And my sister was there too. Same age. Same laugh. We had found something in the woods. Something buried. Something old. It told us its name. We had forgotten it. Life moved on. The world forced us to grow up. But we'd returned, dressed like strangers, on a night it had waited for. It never left. It was just waiting for us to come back. And now, it remembered. At the edge of the hollow, my sister stopped. She turned to me, tears in her eyes. I remember now, she said. It wasn't trying to scare us. It was trying to wake us. She turned back to the hollow. I think I'm supposed to go in. I grabbed her hand. Then I'm coming too. We stepped forward. Together. The forest didn't resist. The hollow didn't reject us. And then everything stopped. I don't remember leaving. But I woke up in my bed. Fully dressed. Mud on my shoes. Clock reading 3:13 a.m. My phone buzzed. A photo message from my sister. It was of the woods. Except, the hollow was gone. And beneath the photo she'd written, "It's part of us now. But it's finished. We don't talk about that night much. Not because we're afraid. Because there's nothing else to say. Whatever followed us, whatever chose us, it got what it needed. We were the door. And now the door is closed. But sometimes, in dreams, I hear footsteps on dry leaves. And in the silence that follows, I don't feel scared. I feel seen. It's been half a year since the night we walked into the woods for the last time. Since we stood before the hollow, since we heard that voice not with our ears but from somewhere deep inside. A lot has changed. On the outside, everything looks normal. My sister found a new apartment closer to the city. I switched jobs. We're both sleeping better. Eating better. Breathing easier, but we haven't spoken about that night since it happened. Not really. We can't. It's not because we're afraid to. It's because the words don't feel right. Like talking about it would somehow pull it all back in. The signs haven't stopped completely. Sometimes I'll wake up with dirt under my nails, even though I haven't been outside. My sister says her gold dress, burned to ashes that night, reappeared in a dream. Hanging from a tree branch, untouched. Clean. Almost glowing. Once a month, without fail, both our phones glitch at exactly 3:13 a.m. Screen flickers. No calls. No texts. Just a faint static hum, like something trying to come through. We both see shadowy movement in mirrors from time to time. Not reflections. Delays. As if some version of us didn't walk away that night. It was a rainy Tuesday when I heard it again. Not a whisper. Not a full sentence. Just one word. Soon. It came as I was passing a storefront window downtown. No one nearby. No echo. No trick. Just the voice. Like a vibration in my chest, more than sound. I stopped cold. Looked around. No one had noticed. But I felt it. A shift in the air. And in that moment, I realized, we had never really left the woods. We were just on the other side of something. A different forest. A quieter one. But the same rules. I started journaling everything again. Dates. Times. Dreams. Glitches. I noticed a pattern. The closer we get to the equinox, the more vivid things become. Dreams get stronger. Static returns. The woods show up in reflections. Doorways seem to breathe. My sister came over last night. She didn't speak. She just placed something on my table. A smooth stone. Dark. Obsidian-like. Etched faintly with something, runes, maybe. I couldn't tell. But I'd seen it before. In the hollow. At the edge. Half buried in the dirt. Just before we stepped in. Found it in my closet, she said. In a shoebox I haven't opened in years. Neither of us touched it. But we both felt it pulsing, like a heart that wasn't dead yet. That night, I dreamt of the forest again. But this time, it wasn't threatening. It was quiet. Peaceful. I stood where the hollow used to be. But instead of blackness, there was a clearing. Soft moss. Fireflies drifting between tree branches. The figure was gone. But something else stood in its place. Us. My sister and I holding hands. Staring forward. But younger. Calmer. And smiling. Behind us, the forest shimmered. Like it wasn't a forest at all, but a veil. Then I heard the voice again. Only this time. It was ours. You brought it back. You kept the memory. That's all it wanted. And then, silence. A silence so deep it wrapped around me like sleep. We no longer fear it. We respect it. We don't take late-night road trips. We don't ignore intuition. And if something brushes past us in the dark, we don't panic. We just listen. Because we know now, there are places in this world that choose people. Not to curse them. Not to harm them. But to remind them that there are doors between this world and others. And once you've stepped through one, even by accident, it marks you. Ask yourself, are you lost? Or were you brought? Because some doors don't need handles. Some hollows don't need maps. And some places are always watching. Waiting for you to come home. We didn't just survive the woods. We became part of them. And they're never letting us forget.